没有可以吃的碟子。
Hello everyone, welcome back and thanks for joining me for another vinyl collection update video. In this video I will talk about records that I picked up in the last month or so on my travels here locally in Oslo, at record fairs and whatnot. So I have about 10 records to talk about, and let's see what we got. The first one is the new album by the Mountain Goats. It's called Days, and this was released just a week ago. So I was on a trip, dead tired, and I hadn't really been listening to the singles running up to this, but I put this on, and instantly I felt like this was a solid and more interesting Mountain Goats records from the last few releases, I guess. This one was very much focused in songwriting, it felt very fun. It took me back to the Sunset Tree period with a very crisp guitar on the opening track and the nerve in the vocal. So yeah, this one grabbed me, and it felt like a step up from the album he released before this. Not that that's a bad album by any means. That tried to be more like a musical, and I just felt like, am I picking it up on vinyl? The replay value on that compared to just a great set of songs, maybe not. So over the years, you know, I just picked really favorite Mountain Goats records to get on vinyl, because they have released so many albums, so it's kind of a feat to collect them all. So I'm just picking my favorites, and this one made my list. Yeah. The side A is very solid, full of fun, enjoyable, bouncy melodies, great tracks like Shallow Grave, Candlebox is another one. Yeah, very engaging throughout, so happy with this. And let's see, yeah, so let's see if this will last throughout the years, you know, but interesting design. And inside I was pleasantly surprised and glad to find the booklet with lyrics, because John Darnielle is such a great and amusing lyricist. He's a master craftsman, and he even puts out, you know, books about writing lyrics, and you know, so it's always cool to have something like this. I always enjoy his songwriting. So a great album, I'd say, this year. This was on pink vinyl, and I actually have a few pink ones in this video. I've been confusing them, but highly recommended album by the Mountain Goats. So next I'm going to talk about a few records that I picked up in Shanghai, and in the beginning of this video you can see a little some footage from me visiting the Raccoon Records shops in Shanghai, and I managed to visit all three of them. And the Raccoon Records, you know, it's more like a chain. I made some other video about visiting the perhaps more interesting record stores as a traveler to China, because when you're there, you want to find the secondhand and the records you cannot find as easily back at home. So a chain like this, you know, they have newer records, they don't have used records. Pretty cool stores nonetheless, but yeah, not the record store I wanted to visit the most while I was there. But I did snag some titles that I've been meaning to get the last few years. Records I felt guilty of not picking up on release day and such. Very confused why I haven't picked these two up. First one, NewDad, a band that I managed to see twice now already. Young and up-and-coming Irish band. They have put out 2 records and also an EP in between those 2 studio albums. This hype sticker says, a quote from Robert Smith, "Been in my car for a long time." I'm not sure if Robert listened to this album, but it's been in his car. No, it says, "Been on in my car for a long time." So Robert is a big fan, it seems. Yeah, great band, very fun band. They have this great song on here called Robosh, I think it's pronounced, but anyway, the first single or the second single from this. And that was a live favorite on both the shows. I think it's excellent, kind of nods to the Pixies. Otherwise, this album feels more uplifting in some sense compared to the debut, which is a bit colder and darker. But I do prefer the debut, I think. But still a very excellent sophomore release. And this was on the Cream vinyl. Yeah. What else? At another Raccoon Records in Shanghai, I found this album. And this one is one I can't explain why I haven't gotten in the collection before, because it's one of my favorite albums of 2024, actually. Christopher Owens, I Wanna Run Barefoot Through Your Hair, his comeback album. Yeah. So Christopher Owens, he has been away for a while. He rose to fame in the mid-2000s with his very excellent band called Girls. Girls put out 2 albums and an EP and then disbanded, and he did his solo things for a few albums. And then the very important Girls band member JR, he passed away at a young age, 40s. And that was a very tragic thing to have happened. And after that, you didn't really hear too much from Christopher. I think he tried to I remember some Bandcamp or some tracks that he put out, but it was not really a sincere release at that point. But then, over the years, I've been Googling his name, trying to find some information. How is he doing? Is he involved with music? And actually, strange occurrence, coincidence, on the release or the announcement day for this album, I just got it in me to Google his name by coincidence, and just a few hours earlier that day, I could find an article with a new song. So just a strange coincidence, of course, but I like to think that, I knew that it was in the air that Christopher Owens would have his comeback. And what a comeback this is. I think it contains some of his best material. It's stronger than his other solo albums that he put out. This takes me back more to the songwriting that he did in the band Girls. And the production, of course, is not JR's production, but it's also pretty strong. I really find it, great on many levels, like how he plays around with guitar effects and the phasing guitars. The Velcro fuzz guitars on the Closer track, it's so wonderful. And all that, is just production stuff. And the real, star on this album is, of course, Christopher's songwriting. In example, the Closer track, as I mentioned, Do You Need a Friend is a favorite. Another favorite would be the song This Is My Guitar. And Christopher, he in interviews talked about how he had a very, very rough time around this pandemic times, and then putting this together. And quite heroically, he managed to get this album out. I think he talked about how he was very, very sick, bedridden, and couldn't move for weeks. And in the middle of that, his longtime partner had left him. And then finally, he had to leave San Francisco and was driving and living in his car, I think. And someone broke into that car and stole his belongings. I guess he was writing songs around all this chaos. And one of the songs is called "This Is My Guitar," which feels like, in my head at least, I feel like Christopher was very far down and broken, and then kind of latched on to this object that has meaning for him, and writing that song and just building his way back from that. So yeah, I really, really love this record. I can talk about it a lot. I managed to see him as well on this tour in Oslo. It was wonderful the way he carries the audience with just his songwriting and acoustic guitar. You know, everyone was completely locked in, and he's playful. He does these cool covers, you know, Suede, Trash, and I think he covered some Michael Jackson on that show as well. And yeah, it's just a brilliant, brilliant musician and songwriter. The San Francisco Lawrence, they're friends actually, Lawrence and Christopher. You can see an interview with them on YouTube that I recommend. Yeah, brilliant record. I talked about this a lot now, but this was also a pink vinyl, not to be confused with the Mountain Goats one. That will be my issue.
Not to feel like you're alone in a world that's lost and spinning in the dark. Oh, help me.
So I picked up 2 records on the 3 Raccoon Records stores in Shanghai. And at the last one, I knew there was some private store just a few hundred meters from the film center, Raccoon Records. And I got on my the Chinese version of Google Maps to locate this place. And it was in this community, in this private buildings, in a basement actually. So it was quite a little adventure. I talked to the security guys outside, and I tried to explain that there was a shop there, and they were confused. They didn't know about it. Shendama. And then some old elderly lady saw me with a record bag, and she knew why I was there. So she tried to talk to me in Chinese and show me the way. So they let me in. And in the basement, sure enough, there was a little record store there, a little operation. I was the only one there. They turned on the lights, they put on the air condition, and I was there for about, I guess, an hour almost, scrolling through the records. And there was a new section, and there was a lot of the discount bargain bins that you can see soon in a clip. I was hard-pressed to find anything of interest for me in the old section, if you will. There was a lot of Chinese and Japanese releases there as well that I didn't have any connection to. But there was some new records, one of which was the Yolo Tango soundtrack for the very wonderful film Old Joy. Highly recommendation if you haven't seen that film, and if you're a fan of Will Oldham or Bonnie Prince Billy, who acts in that film, and he's a wonderful actor, especially in Old Joy. And Yola Tango, they made this wonderful soundtrack for that film that they released, you know, just a few years ago. So I could find that there, but it was yeah, pricey compared to what I can pay for it here back home. So I didn't get that one, but I really felt like I needed to pick up something, as I had been there for a long time, and it was started to be embarrassing when I couldn't find anything at all. But I was tempted with this record actually, and I don't know too much about Ethel Cain. What happened was that I was at the Primavera Festival this year. I was going to see a show after she was playing, but I managed to catch her show, and I'm glad I did so. Yeah, I was very impressed. I thought that she had this wonderful presence, very dramatic and chill at the same time. And the music seemed very, you know, believable, and experimental a bit for pop music. So I was kind of intrigued by, you know, just watching the live show. Yeah, so I would just went from that show thinking that, oh, I should probably check out her music. And so this was there in the crate, and that was the only option, I think, for me. And this is also a Record Store Day title for first time on the vinyl this year for Record Store Day. And I looked it up on Discogs and could see that this was going for the double the price I would pay for it there in China. Yeah, so that's the one I picked up. I have listened through this once, and I've listened to the song Crush a lot online after I bought the record. That song is the one I really connected with so far. But I think this will be my entry into her career. I will check out her studio albums, and yeah, I'm intrigued. Not everything in the production is kind of my cup of tea, but I think there's enough here going on that well, yeah, will keep my interest in Ethel Cain. So, cool thing to pick up and take a chance sometime and then be pleasantly surprised. We have a few more records to talk about. Next is a record that I picked up at Rock'n'Rolls, the second-hand store in Oslo. And if you've been watching my channel, you probably know this store, or Martin Åstad's channel. He frequents there, and he put out a video, I think, from his shopping there recently. Great store for second-hand vinyls, but this one was actually a new one. I was there looking for some Echo and the Bunnymen. Was not very happy with the pressings I found, but I had a great selection of the Echo and the Bunnymen albums I'm looking for currently. Still, but on the speaker, they played the Lilies, and I thought, okay, I need to pick up more of the Lilies albums because I'm a big fan. The one I have is my favorite. It's called A Brief History of Amazing Letdowns. That's such an amazing release, an EP. And this is the sophomore album from '94. It's called Exame, the Photon Band. And if you don't know Lilies, it's a very difficult band to try to describe because they have been going in various directions. But in the beginning, I guess they were kind of very inspired by the shoegaze bands and My Bloody Valentine, perhaps in particular. And Kevin Shields, actually, you know, he became a fan of the Lilies, and now I think they're thought of as one of the important followers of My Bloody Valentine, or the following shoegaze bands. And of course, Lilies are American. They've been going at it for years, and not only putting out dream pop and shoegaze, they have had records that are quite inspired by the Kings, and various stuff. So the sound keeps changing. But early on, they were doing experimental indie shoegaze dream pop, I think. Hard to explain, but when I heard this record, it kind of reminded me of Elephant Six and Olivia Tremor Control. That happened a bit later in the 90s. Favorite song would be The Hermit Crab. That's the one I'm going to put in this clip. A big recommendation, if you don't know the Lilies, check this one out, or check out the debut, or even better, check out the EP I mentioned, A Brief History of Amazing Letdowns. Yeah, there's so many great songs on that one. So that's how the Lilies look like. Recent reissue. I think this has been reissued quite a few times on Frontier, I think. Next, I will talk about the records I picked up at the local record fair in Oslo. I was there at the beginning of July, I think, and the records, you know, there was a lot of familiar ones because I've been going a few times this year. But I did manage to find a better quality copy of the great record by the Dream Syndicate, Out of the Grey. Yeah, I was happy to find this, and the price was only 100 Norwegian. Third album by the Dream Syndicate, great Paisley underground band. And yeah, I found it to be a very solid album, perhaps not on par of the two first ones, but yeah, Out of the Grey, the title track, the opening track, is a wonderful song, has a great video as well. When I first listened to this, you know, I kind of felt, well, it's different because it's later in the 80s and production have changed and the band has changed for this album as well. It kind of feels like Steve is doing a lot of things with his vocals, that the attitude is kind of overshadowing the content in some way. But then I just got on board with it. It's a very cool rock and roll record, so I'm a fan of this. Glad to find it. Yeah, for a good price. I'm not sure what pressing this is or anything. BEEM. Yeah, it's a Swedish pressing, it seems. Next, I found the very great album by Swervedriver called Race. I think this is the best record that they put out. So Swervedriver gets lumped in with the shoegaze bands as well. But I don't think you can think of them as, you know, atmospheric or, you know, moody. You know, they're quite a rocking band, Swervedriver. Especially this album, and especially the song Brave Down. Check that one out. One of the greatest songs of the 90s, in my opinion. That has a passage that kind of, I guess, lends from freak scenes. I'm not sure. The song by Dinosaur Jr. Yeah, great song, great album, and this was on Music on Vinyl. The guy selling it has found his original copy. He said it was the best album of the 90s. I'm not entirely sure about that statement, but a very strong album. So the Music on Vinyl on red. I'm a big fan of Music on Vinyl. Don't need the original. Anyway, I found this single by my favorite band, Dinosaur Jr. My favorite song as well, The Wagon. But this is the Glitter House pressing, the German one. So I will still be looking out for the SST version of this. So what was amusing was that I actually haven't heard this 7-inch before, and I actually haven't heard the B-side, the song by D. Fleming, who was affiliated with Dinosaur Jr. around this time. The song Better Than Gone. That was not included on the deluxe version of Green Mind, actually. So, yeah, very pleasant surprise for me to have that song now in the collection. Yeah, so just a cool thing to pick up from the guy there I usually buy the Dinosaur Jr. stuff from. And lastly, at the fair, this wonderful record that has been high up on my want list for such a long time. I've seen it there before, but the last time I saw this, I'm not sure if it was the same copy, but it was double the price. So this is the first UK EU pressing of Darklands, 1987, I guess it is. And yeah, just a wonderful follow-up to Psycho Candy. Psycho Candy would still be my favorite. I prefer the noise rock, and the you know, the production of that is more striking, but the songwriting, you can't argue with that. Terrific album with a lot of great songs. So yeah, an essential in the collection. Jesus and Mary Chain, Darklands, just terrific. And this was, as mentioned, on the EU pressing UK. Finally, the last record I will talk about. Surprise, another Record Store Day release. This was actually on my list. I did pick it up because it was a big sale now on Big Dipper, and this was included, 30% off. and no brainer actually. I should have picked this up earlier. It has the wonderful side B with the acoustic version of these great songs: Cut Dead, Psycho Candy, You Trip Me Up, some Kenny Talking. I really enjoyed that. So terrific EP, essential if you're a fan to pick this one up, or maybe the original if you can find it. And this was on this nice red vinyl, and it felt like a nice companion to the blue Primal Scream EP that they put out as well this year. That's all the records I have to talk about today. Please stay tuned. Please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate that. We need more subscribers. Yeah, I'm tempted to keep this going. The fall will be very interesting. A lot of cool new releases, new records that I would like to talk about on this channel. I would like to perhaps put out something of a review maybe of the Dinosaur Jr, or at least with my impression. And the Proto-Martyr is something also I'm very eager to talk about, and the Tubs and all these cool records coming this fall. So please stay tuned, please subscribe if you enjoy the content, and I see you in the next one. Take care.